other as staff. I never do anything alone. I always consult with a team. That's a principle. So it's a collaborative leadership style. We've heard about it a lot today. What has made me stay is that we work in harmony. Where we find someone's committed to foul, we guide them. When we see one of us is losing momentum, we motivate them. And a lot of them talked about praying together in the mornings. And one very sweet woman said when it's school holiday, she really misses the children and wishes she was at work. The other thing that was interesting and hasn't come up yet is having a supportive governing body is an enormously helpful factor. And I think it's got to do with what you were describing about being embedded in the community. And they often would go in and provide hands-on monitoring and encouragement to the staff, pop in to help, and to work to help secure the resources that were needed. So the principal's role, these are some quotes I thought is always good to hear, and we've heard from some principals today. We as principals are the ones that make sure that the reports are sorted out and ready for use. Food in the kitchen, water, sort out parents' complaints, setting up class registers, the medicine registers, the incident registers, checking the work that goes on and goes out on Fridays. The work of the principals, the care of children and teachers, to see that the children are safe in the center. This is the important work, and to make sure that my book and files are in good condition, and to make sure the school has leaders, because I alone am not a leader. So there's a concept coming up quite a lot in other countries about teacher leadership as well, because in their classroom, teachers are leaders, although they need support. And then this is a governing body. The principal and teacher are all trained. They do a good job. They can change and rotate. The teacher, but the principal's working, they're constantly doing the writing and keeps the program moving forward. So the whole idea behind the scenes, you can have a good team, but you need to be moving it. You can't have a program in a center where the manager's negative and not keen to learn and implement new things. I think we've all heard, many of us, about places where the teacher isn't trained necessarily, sees it differently, sees it more as a business than a calling for children, and makes it hard for even trained practitioners to implement. She knows what needs to be taught in each age cohort and is nearly always at school. I don't know if it's common up here, but in the Western Cape, there are many principals who are almost never at their schools because they're in meetings all the time. And when she's not there, it's because she's in a meeting that's important, I'm assuming. So teamwork, how do we treat each other? So I'm very motivated and energized to wake up in the morning and come to work. This is because of the love that we experience here. The principal knows that she didn't solely give me experience. She also shows that she gets inspired by me. So that, again, seems to be the thing that came out really, really strongly. Working as a team and also not being very strict about role differentiation, but mucking in whenever something is needed, helping each other out. So overall reflections from the case study, I'm only going to focus on the red ones, but you will get this, is that warm relationships between staff are an incredibly important predictor of children and centers doing better. Interestingly enough, also local and indigenous content, which talks to the connection with the community. Quality delivery is supported by qualified, motivated staff with access to continuing professional development. Good principals made an effort not only to do it externally, but internally, to be talking about what people were doing. Engaging parents, very important. And then I just think we do need to acknowledge the work stresses that they all talked about. They've got very long hours, they have low salaries. Principals said they spent so much time trying to be compliant. Water shortages, we've heard about today. Theft and crime in the Western Cape. I've just been talking to the team at the table about protection money that centres have to pay to gangs, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's really a problem. But what it shows is that the whole ecosystem is important. And the question is, what does it need to make that complicated ecosystem work? Because it is centered on the leadership there. Okay? So what are our implications? I think, first of all, just interestingly enough, the Quality Council for Trades and Occupation has a draft management qualification out. It's only at level 5, so for all the principals who've already got a level 5, it's not particularly motivating to think you would want to do it again. It's got a big focus on the admin and sustainability, which we know is really important. But there needs to be, and it came up strongly in ours, and I've heard a lot about it today, much more focus on pedagogical or instructional leadership. So what we found is to have someone on site who's monitoring the quality, not just leaving the classrooms and hoping that extra support people will come in. At most of our outstanding sites, the principal, or else they're delegated to an experienced staff member to do it, guided and mentored the staff constantly. They would get together and plan together. And access to external supports is also important. So that's all I wanted to say, except just briefly in closing, I'm still within my time. Aha. The quality assurance and support system that DBE is developing right now, I'm working with them, so is Elifa Labantwana, is going to include a focus on leadership, on parent involvement, on governance and admin, and on parent involvement, as much as it's going to be including the focus on the learning program, because it recognizes that although the learning program is the most obvious place where you can change child outcomes, it can only work well if it's got all those things in place. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Next to speak to us now, as we rush through this part, is Natasha Christophels, the owner, principal, as well as teacher at Tasha's Kids Daycare, and a proud graduate from EduBuild, where she holds, by the way, that important NQF Level 5 diploma.
Because they showed Safisa. Safisa, sorry, it's not you, it's me. However, I'd like to greet you all in that wonderful and unfailable name of our Lord Jesus Christ and Savior. Sorry for doing that, but I am a staunch Christian. Let me talk about leadership. Leadership in the ECD sector. I promise Ipilang I won't be long. I can talk long, but I won't, not today, because you asked so nicely. Leadership is a critical component in the ECD sector. An effective leader sets a tone for the entire program and creates a positive culture and foster growth in the learning of the community or for the community. You need to be ready to take on more responsibility in the world of education. The role of an ECD principal in doing the learnership pilot training through Early Care Foundation at Nelson Mandela Foundation have opened our eyes to engage with more leaders within our community. One very profound leader that I've engaged with was Zulfa. She is the owner and founder of Zulfa's Health and Safety Consultants. On exchange, she have offered all of our ECD centers free first aid and fire emergency training for free to all our ECDs within our park. Sure, wat, please. Sorry. Jy must say kan Afrikaans ek praat. Sorry. If I don't joke, I won't get over the nervousness, sorry. We have also started to work very close with our nurses. They do come around and they do check on our clinic cards, whether the children does get all the immunization that's needed. If not, they do go out to the houses of parents. They do give visits to them and encourage them to go to the clinic. Also, they come around and boost our learners with vitamins and dewormers. Currently, there was an outburst in our area where children obtained measles, but they came and they had some control structure in place where they assisted us to boost the children against measles, which I felt was needed. With all our challenges of our local community for our Ward 88, we have a ward committee that doesn't assist us with anything. They don't supply us or assist us with anything. I've had a deep discussion with one of our ward committees. She was highly upset with what I commented on our group because they don't interact with us at all. There's this preschool building that's been standing now vacant for almost 3 years that myself and some of us have applied for it. And the only feedback we receive on a regular basis, even past Monday, we've received feedback that they are waiting for the process to take place. I don't know who's this process that we are waiting for, but we are waiting for a process for almost 3 years to take place in order to release this preschool, or to anyone at least, because I feel it's a wasted resources that's standing there. After all, none of us are compliant or registered with the Department of Education, while we could have occupied this building. And I was just standing there and I feel it's just going down the drain. It's wasted resources. Our government state, they always don't have money, but they are paying the security at 20,000 in salary. What income are they recruiting from our communities? Nothing, except they are investing in a security guard where we could have hired a security guard and implement something else on the center. Laat ek aangaan, sorry, let me talk about it. Because it's an emotional point for me, because currently we are overcrowded and we cannot accommodate more children that we are currently accommodating. And there's children that's being wasted at home because why they sit at home with grandmothers, not being developed or being upskilled on being school ready. Then we get cases like now where parents rush to us and please, 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 can you accept my child for grade R because my child must go to grade 1 and my child don't even know how to hold a pencil. Then we are sitting with a problem and then it's going to seem like we don't know what we are doing, and we are working extremely hard on bridging that gap. The only sponsors we've received was from FNB. They have offered us basic training. It was 4 days training and that's it. Then we had Early Care Foundation, of which we are extremely grateful for. They have offered training to our head, to the head of the ECD center and one practitioner. I cannot extend my gratitude towards it. However, my practitioner resigned straight after obtaining that certificate. And I think most ECDs are sitting with that problem because now they think, you know what, I'm qualified, I don't need you anymore. You can't afford me. So they go and look for greener pastures. Where are we sitting now? Unqualified, unskilled practitioners. What are we doing? We are messing with children's lives. Now it's up to us as heads. We must train them and we must continue to manage our centers. As for myself, what I've done, I've partnered with, not partnered, but EduBult is an institution that is registered with Higher Department of Education. They are accredited. And they wanted a space to give their training. And I said, no, here's my center, use it. They didn't have a lecturer to teach. I said, I will teach because I am from EduBult. So I will teach. I don't want a salary. What I want to offer my time for 2 of my practitioners at least to be qualified on NQF level 4. And they've agreed to that. Thank you. On the other end, I have got 2 minutes, I think. You showed me the red card here. On the other end, our local library is being renovated almost also past a year. There's no network hub where our children can do our homework. I've opened my center. I said, come here, come do your homework here. Send me whatever pics you want me to be printed. I print it for free for them. Because coming from raising my own children on a struggle base, I don't want to see the next child struggling. I know what it is to go around and look for places where I can print work or whatever. That is why I've opened my center for these purposes. However, I don't think all the ECDs can do that because all of us don't have industrial printers. We had a brief discussion in the car on our way here. Toners are expensive. So now, as for me, yes, I'm hiring a printer of which I have to pay every month in order to have toner to do this for my community and for our children within our community. So yeah, that is what we are sitting with, and that is our greatest struggles that we are having. As I said, this preschool is a wasted resource. In conclusion, can I jump? Because I'm very nervous. In conclusion, it is better to set an example and take the lead and to follow beside your followers. That way you can keep a better eye on them and you can be a crutch to them and not just let them walk on their sides. Here is the response we got or feedback we've got on this building. It is not yet advertised. The item in respect is the purpose to be released. The property in question has to serve before the Real Estate Agenda Committee for consideration of approval. As soon as this has been done, the necessary process will have to take place, as well as something that is very crucial. As I've mentioned before, not one of us are compliant and registered with the Department of Education. There's a lot of land that is available. I've applied for one land that is reserved for the Department of Education. The only requirement they've got, if I can get a sponsor to build an ECD center, they will release the land. Based on previously, they've just released lands, coming to find out people build their own personal houses on that premises, then they cannot take their premises back because when they release it on a permanent base. So now there's land that's available. When I spoke to my colleagues, they said they've got land within our informal settlement that is available, but we just don't have financial resources or the capability to build a center. So my request today is, please, if there's somebody that will open their good hearts for us, we'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Natasha, I have slightly grown you nervous, eh? Even when you're nervous, so speak a bit there at the end. Our last member of this panel is Ms. Sosa Kenny. She's a qualified primary teacher who describes herself as being very passionate about ECD and the empowerment of women in the sector, as evidenced by this panel today. She's been in the ECD sector since 1983. So she has seen it through multiple phases. So let's welcome then to the podium Ms. Sifiso Zakeni.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. It's such an exciting day for me today. I also just want to share that when Mr. Lolwane spoke, he just evoked some emotions in me. His mother was my mentor, Mrs. Lolwane, and the school that was named after her mother, I facilitated that the school was built in our community in Protea. So I'm so happy today. My name is Sifiso Tobakale, and I'm running a center in Protea City. In that area, it was the first-time homeowners. You know, when the bond story started with us Black people, that's when the area started. But the place was actually a farm where there was cows. So the place that I used, it was a dilapidated area. The place was now used for thugs and stuff. So I converted that place to become a preschool. And it was mostly first-time owners who were like older, you know, like grannies who were just about to pension, who had young children that needed a place for their young ones as they were going to work. So that is how our project started. Ne? So we renovated the structure and started the program with 50 children. As a leader, I had to make sure that all systems are in place before the school starts. This start helped us to meet the needs of our learners in Protea City. And as I believe that children's development is more important. And I'm so happy that today we had a lot of talk about Thrive by 5. And Thrive by 5 is talking about children learning from birth to 5 years. And learning from birth to 5 years means that children's brains, the research has shown that a child's brain by age 5 has developed 90%. Which means 10% is for the primary school, high school, and tertiary. And that shows straight that us, the preschool workers, we have a lot of work to do. And I'm so happy today that my colleagues that spoke before me who are owning crèches, their passion is about developing children holistically and creating a happy and a good stimulating environment for children. So to renovate the structure, we had to make it habitable, and then also registering the project with the various departments was a challenge. And you know, as I'm sitting here, the time I was re-registering my center, I had to pay 11,000 for the plan to be approved. So you can imagine with a school fees of less than 1,000 rand, how do you manage that? So those are some of the challenges that you are facing, but I'm happy today that the Department of Education is now coming on board to assist us, and the Department of Social Services is also coming to support us. Ne? So we had to charge 250, which was not sufficient to cover salaries and food and maintenance and resources, because I believe that children have to be in an environment where they can get what the child in Sentin is getting. That is my belief, so that these children can develop, and if they go to these Model C schools, they can compete equally with their counterparts. And then not all parents were able to pay, ne? But generally we pushed that we even got registered with the Department of Education. So the gaps or challenges that we see, most practitioners not having occupational qualifications, and not many have matric. This is making the following issues difficult. The teachers are not able to plan a lesson, no program design, how to gather resources, use them effectively with learners for their holistic development, and how to manage these resources. We often find that companies will come on board, fund projects, like give educational toys. The challenge is that how do we use those educational toys? They end up being packed in boxes high up there. So we also need to close that gap where if schools get resources, the practitioners and the principal must be trained on how to use those resources. And then, and how to align the activities with the NCF. And then also reflection on how these resources will develop children relates to education, and then lack of adequate funding from the government and private sectors, and not training for cooks. We have cooks in our sectors. They don't have training, the cooks, and the children's nutrition is also very important.
Is this one working?
No.
Okay, we just lost
My voice is clear enough. And then the registration process is definitely cumbersome. And I saw in our tables, there is something written, the future of the world is in my class today. If you check all our things on our table, it means that we have the future now. The children we have today will be future doctors, future plumbers, future everything. And then parents training or empowerment is also very important. And then one thing that we also suffer from is inadequate nutrition. That children come to our centers, some don't even have breakfast. Some come to our centers, the only meal they will have for the day is the 2 meals breakfast, lunch, and afternoon. So sometimes you find that you have to take a little something for their family that you know that they are. And you have to do this because you know must be a problem. So you have to make it something to give to the mother to make food for the children. And then also the community support to safeguard our centers from vandalism. The Rando spoke about it earlier, and then my colleague here spoke about it from Al-Ramak. And then I also want to emphasize that capacity is also important for ECD managers on the floor. And I'm glad that SASOL is doing that. And I'm so happy that Google is going to push it further. Proper ECD qualification for me as a principal and also for my teachers. The qualification issue is also another issue that is really stressing us. Because sometimes the young girls they don't have a job. You see this young girl that she has a teacher, but she doesn't have a job. And she's just moving around the area. So what happens is that I had an incident where I had employed a cook. She came as a young lady from Natal. She came to my school. Somebody said people are, I don't know who said now people have to be passion motivated. So this lady came in as a cook. Today I'm proud to say, with my support and know all the things that are happening in the sector. She got interested in training. Today she's having a pre-primary diploma. From a cook to a pre-primary, to hold a pre-primary diploma. And then as an ECD leader, I attended various trainings. This helped me to integrate various programs that are benefiting children. We have already started a reading program. As we all know that they say children in grade 4, they read without understanding. But the only problem is that the reading area is a Wendy house. So I'm praying and hoping that I'll get funds to build a proper, because I believe children fail not because they are dull, they fail because of comprehension. They don't understand what they are reading. So we have also started on a big book, a drive collection, so that we can develop the love for books in our children in preschool. And then our school is also used for blanket immunizations. You know, when there's an outbreak, the nurses come and do the blood, because it's a structure. Our centers, you know, I'm so glad that early care gave us an opportunity to be trained as forums, that our mindset changed, that we saw that our centers don't have to be a center for a crèche only. Our center can be diversified in terms of what we use for our centers. And then also, we also try and have churches come for meetings in our centers. Ne? And then ECD is very important for our country to reduce illiteracy, poverty, and school dropout. As the research has shown that children who didn't get preschool education, they don't sustain a lot in school, in formal schooling. When we all work together to finally support the ECD sector, we can reduce unemployment, that will eradicate intergenerational poverty, because intergenerational poverty means I'm poor, my daughter is poor, my grandchild is going to be poor. So if we put a good foundation on ECD, that is going to be a cut off. Ne? We'll have future adults who will be critical thinkers. Somebody spoke about thinking. The children, I don't know whether it was Miss Kotze, she said children want to grow and think. So we have to develop critical thinkers who will contribute to the country's economy. We need to make sure that all our children are well developed, and then holistically, by the time they start grade R, emphasis has to be put on lifelong learning, because it's not only for primary school, it's lifelong learning. So I would like to thank the DBE for the support, because the grant that we are getting is putting us somewhere. We must appreciate. It's unlike not receiving anything. And we also thank the private sector that is sponsoring early care. I'd like to thank and acknowledge Early Care Foundation for helping us to run our centers effectively. Their selfless commitment to empower us as ECD principals, practitioners, parents, and resourcing our centers. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. You can come over here. No, you can hold on to the mic, because I think you guys can then use that mic when we respond. So we've got about 10 minutes for the panel. So I'm just going to take the first 4 hands. So we'll do it, first hand over there. We'll do it like an auction. Second hand. Any takers on this side of the class? Oh, third hand over here to save the gentleman. Thank you, sir. Any other gentleman who wants to ask a question? Where are the fathers? We'll start with you, ma'am. You can use this microphone. Let me just hand it to you. And then first 2 hands, and then we'll go to you, sir. And then there was a hand over here. I just can't remember who it was.
Okay, my mic is.
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much to the panelists. Very insightful and really, really heartfelt commentary. My name is Shimi Rai. I am here on behalf of the Development Bank of Southern Africa. Excuse me for my multifaceted or layered questions, but please do indulge me with answers so I can take this back, obviously, to the necessary people at the bank. My first question would be, it's quite clear and evident that when you're investing in early care as a donor, it is an 18-year investment. But if you look at organizations like DBSA, other corporate